having us. Ole, 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 ole. Mexico, Mexico. Ole, 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 ole. Mexico, Mexico. Ole, 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 ole. Ole, 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 ole. Mexico, Mexico. Para nosotros como mexicanos viviendo en Los Ángeles, el fútbol es parte de nuestra cultura, de nuestra raíz, lo traemos desde la cuna y ahora que nos tocó este mundial vivirlo aquí en Los Ángeles es la locura. Ahí nos tocó ir a apoyar al Estado de Irán, vamos a ver qué nos encontramos.
Un partido muy peleado, 2-2, Irán abajo, siempre peleó por empatar el partido y lo empató. Y terminó así un excelente partido. Para todos los aficionados salimos ganando. Dependiendo de qué nacionalidad seamos, mexicanos o de cualquier nacionalidad, todos salimos ganando porque fue un excelente partido.
من دو تا مسئله رو بگم رامی لحظه بداد خدا راستیشم دارم. ببین تک تکتون موقعی که 14 سالتون بود، موقعی که تو پایه ها شروع کردید، تمام این جمع هیچ کی نمیتونه بگه من از خانواده پولدار میام یا هر چیزی. همه ما داریم از روستا میایم، از شهرستان میایم، با آرزو میایم. اینو برگردید به تایمی که آرزو داشتید که تیم ملی باشید. تو هر شغلی، هر تک تکتون، بازیکن، کادر فنی، تدارکات، ماساژ، پزشکی، همه بزرگترین، هر کی میگه هر جا بازی کرده بزرگتر از اینجایی که هستیم نیست. اینجا بزرگترین جاییه که میتونید بازی کنید. الان اینجایی. به جای کی؟ به جای هزار جوونی که میتونه جای تک تک ما باشه. از جای کادر فنی باشه. ازش استفاده کنید. ازش لذت ببرید. با قلبتون. نماینده کل جوونی هستی که آرزو داره کل زندگیشو بده که اینجا باشه. براش بجنگید. با قلبتون، با روحتون آروم باشید، به همدیگه اطمینان کنید مثل یه تیم. مسئله دوم، 10 دقیقه رو به اول، بچه‌ای که جام جهانی بازی کردن میدونن 10 دقیقه رو به اول شرایط میتونه سخت باشه. جو استادیوم، شرایط بازی، آروم ریسک نکنید، کار احمقانه نکنید. مسائل فنی رو گفتن. باز میگم قلبتون اینجا مهمه. برای همدیگه بازی کنید، نه برای خودتون. اینجا یه تیمی، تک تکتون زحمت کشیدید. یک ماه، 4 روز، 2 ماه از خانواده، از دوستاتون، فشار، درد، حرف، حدیث، همه رو گذروندید. اول برای خودتون، برای این جمع که مثل یه خانواده. دوم برای خانواده خودتون، پدر و مادرتون. هیچ از پدر و مادر بزرگتر نیست. و از همه مهمتر برای ایران، به عشق ایران. چون یه 90 خورده میلیون الان بیرون میبینید. همه اینا دوستتون دارن. با هر نگاهی، با هر ظرفیتی، با هر اعتقادی برای مردم ایران بازی کنید. به عشق مردم ایران. یا علی یا زهرا ایران. 1، 2، 3
یا علی یا زهرا ایران.
الملت ويا بالله la selección iraní va a jugar en Estados Unidos. Creo que tiene 3 partidos, ¿no? Son 3, ¿no? En la primera eliminatoria. Entonces, los 3 partidos de la selección iraní son en Estados Unidos. Estados Unidos no quiere que la selección iraní se quede a pernoctar en Estados Unidos. Nos preguntaron, pero sí van a jugar los 3 partidos allá. Entonces nos preguntaron, ¿pueden pernoctar en México? Y dijimos, sí, sin problema, no tenemos ningún problema. Entonces, están buscando que la sede sea en Tijuana para que ellos puedan pernoctar y viajar a los partidos que van a desarrollar en Estados Unidos. Entonces, nosotros no tenemos por qué negar la posibilidad de que se queden en México.
Saying it would not be appropriate for Iran's squad to be at this summer's World Cup. He says for their own life and safety. Just yesterday, FIFA President Gianni Infantino released a statement saying he'd met with Trump on Tuesday. Infantino said that Trump said that Iran were welcome at the tournament. Now, President Trump met Gianni Infantino last night and told him Iran are still welcome at the World Cup. After that, though, Iran's sports minister said there was no way they could participate. And then a short time ago, Trump has posted this on social media saying the Iran national soccer team is welcome to the World Cup, but I really don't believe it is appropriate that they be there for their own life and safety. Now, FIFA is yet to respond to requests for comment regarding Iran's participation in the finals in light of Donya Mali's comments on Wednesday or Trump's remarks today. Now, Iran are due to kick off their campaign against New Zealand in Los Angeles.
Donald Trump said Iran should not be at this World Cup. He posted it publicly on Truth Social. As the sitting president of the United States, one of the 3 host nations of this tournament, he said, and I am quoting directly, that he did not think it would be appropriate for Iran to be here, citing the safety of the players themselves. FIFA's response came 6 weeks later at their annual Congress in Vancouver, Canada. Gianni Infantino stood at the podium and said, and again I am quoting directly, I confirm, for those who say otherwise, that Iran will participate in the FIFA World Cup 2026 and will play in the United States. 2 men, 2 statements, 1 tournament, and right now, as you watch this video, the Iranian national football team is training in Tijuana, Mexico, 5 miles from the United States border. The most politically scrutinized squad at any World Cup in living memory is preparing for a tournament being held in the country whose president tried to keep them out. This is not a football story. This is the most extraordinary situation in the history of the World Cup, and almost nobody in the English-speaking world is paying attention to it. Stay with me, because by the time this video is done, you are going to understand why Iran at the 2026 World Cup is bigger than any match, any group, any player at this tournament, and why the game everyone is pretending might not happen, Iran versus the United States in Arlington, Texas, could become the most watched, most politically charged 90 minutes in the history of sport. There is a city on the border between Mexico and the United States called Tijuana. Most Americans know it as the place you drive to from San Diego on a Friday night. Most Mexicans know it as one of the most culturally vibrant border cities in Latin America. Most of the world does not think about it at all. The Iranian national football team now trains there every morning. They arrived in the middle of the night on a flight from Turkey, surrounded by security personnel and a level of political tension that no other squad at this World Cup has had to carry. When their plane landed at Tijuana International Airport, a small group of supporters was waiting outside with Iranian flags. Not hundreds of people, a small group, because nobody was sure until very recently whether this team would be here at all. The original plan was different. Iran had been assigned a training base in Tucson, Arizona, American soil, all logistics confirmed, all facilities approved. And then the visa problem started. Several members of the Iranian football delegation, not players, but officials, logistics staff, people who travel with every national team to every tournament, had documented connections to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Under United States law, those individuals can't not enter American territory. Full stop, no exceptions, no diplomatic workarounds. Iran's Football Federation President Mehdi Taj announced on May 23rd that the base would move to Tijuana. He stated publicly that they had filed a formal request with FIFA, held multiple meetings with officials in Istanbul, participated in a video conference with the Secretary General, and received official authorization to relocate. The plan, as Taj explained it, was logistically precise. From Tijuana, the team would enter the United States exclusively for match days, traveling by charter flights operated by Iran Air, avoiding commercial terminals, additional screenings, and the kind of bureaucratic friction that could compromise the squad's preparation. They would train in Mexico. They would play in America. They would sleep as far from American immigration authorities as geographically possible while still being at the tournament. That is the situation. That is the reality of what it means to be Iran at the 2026 World Cup. And yet, when you walk past their training sessions at the Club Zolos facility in Tijuana, supporters are allowed to watch. Small groups. Iranian diaspora from California crossing the border to see their team. Families who left Iran years ago, some decades ago, standing on the sidelines of a training pitch in northern Mexico to watch men in green jerseys prepare for a World Cup. That image alone tells you everything about what this tournament means for a nation of 90 million people that the rest of the world has spent years trying to reduce to a political headline. Let us talk about Donald Trump, because you cannot tell this story without talking about Donald Trump. In March of this year, the President of the United States posted on Truth Social that while the Iranian team was welcome in the United States, he personally did not think it would be appropriate for them to be there. And he cited, specifically, their own safety and security. Read that again carefully. The host nation's president publicly, on his personal social media platform, said that a team that had qualified legitimately for the tournament through 18 months of competition should perhaps not attend for their own good. Iran's Football Federation did not stay quiet. Their official response stated that no individual has the authority to exclude a country from the FIFA World Cup, that the tournament is organized by FIFA, governed by FIFA's rules, and that participation is determined by qualifying results, not by the social media activity of any political leader. And then they added the line and that went around the world. The only nation that should be concerned about exclusion is one that cannot guarantee the security of participating teams. That was a direct reference to the United States as host, delivered formally, in writing. To the international press, Trump's position then shifted. In a meeting with Gianni Infantino at the White House, he stated that Iran was welcome. 2 days later, he posted the opposite. The contradiction was never resolved publicly. The Iranian Federation chose not to escalate further. FIFA chose not to comment on the exchange beyond Infantino's Vancouver statement, and the tournament proceeded. But here is what that sequence of events actually means for what happens on the pitch. If Iran advances from their group, and we will get to why that is entirely possible, the bracket mathematics create a scenario where they could face the United States of America in the round of 16. On July 3rd, in Arlington, Texas, AT&T Stadium, 100,000 seats. Iran versus the United States. At a World Cup hosted by the United States, on American Independence Day weekend, after the sitting American president publicly questioned whether Iran should be allowed to compete. There is no sporting event in the history of this planet that would carry more political weight than that 90 minutes of football. None. The 1980 Olympic ice hockey miracle on ice does not come close. The 1950 World Cup upset does not come close. Nothing comes close. And right now, as the group stage begins, that match is a real possibility. Before we get to the group and what Iran needs to do, there is a human story inside this squad that the statistics will never capture. 17 players on Iran's final World Cup roster come from the Iranian domestic league. 17. For context, most national teams at this tournament have one, maybe two domestic-based players in their squads. The rest play in Europe, in the Americas, in elite club football around the world. Iran has 17 players whose entire professional careers exist within a football league that, for most of the past year, was not functioning, because Iran has been at war. The Iranian domestic football season was suspended repeatedly due to conflict. Players were training when they could, in facilities that were not always safe, preparing for a World Cup while their country was under active military and economic pressure. Some of these men had not played a competitive club match in months before arriving in Tijuana. They came to a World Cup as the most prepared team in the Asian Confederation, and some of them had not played a real game since last autumn. That is not a weakness. Do not mistake it for a weakness. That is a group of men who kept training through conditions that would have ended the careers of players who have only ever known the comfort of Premier League training facilities. That is a squad whose mental resilience has tested in ways that no sports psychologist, no pre-tournament camp, no friendly match against a European reserve team can replicate. The player who embodies that combination of European quality and Iranian identity better than anyone else in this squad is Mehdi Taremi. If you follow the Champions League, you know Taremi. He plays for Inter Milan. He has scored in knockout stages of European competition. He is technically refined, physically powerful, and the kind of striker who shows up when the stakes are highest. He scored twice in the decisive qualification match against Uzbekistan, once before halftime, once in the final 7 minutes, to earn the point that mathematically confirmed Iran's place at this tournament. That is your striker. A Champions League footballer who delivers in moments of maximum pressure, supported by a squad of men who have been living under maximum pressure for a year. Now let us talk about the group. Because the football matters too, and Iran's path through Group G tells you a lot about what to expect. Group G, Iran, Belgium, Egypt, New Zealand. Belgium arrives with Premier League footballers throughout their squads. They are well organized, technically strong, and in a World Cup year that has seen their golden generation finally fade, they are rebuilding around a core of players that is hungry but unproven at this level. Egypt brings Mohamed Salah. That sentence alone changes the calculation for any opponent. Salah at a World Cup, in what is almost certainly his final tournament, at the peak of his powers, is one of the most dangerous individual forces in world football. Egypt will be defensively disciplined and will look to create for him. Every team in this group knows that. New Zealand are the team that should not be underestimated, but probably will be. They defend with organization and discipline. They will sit deep against Iran and look to hit on the counter, and on a day when their goalkeeper is in form, they are capable of forcing a draw against anyone. Iran's qualification record says everything you need to know about how they approach these games. In the final Asian qualifying round, they were unbeaten across 12 matches, 9 wins, 3 draws, 30 points, a goal difference of +11. They did not lose a single game in 18 months of qualification against opponents who were specifically trying to stop them. Their defensive structure under coach Amir Galanoe is disciplined, hard to break down, and built around the kind of collective shape that frustrates teams who rely on individual brilliance. If Iran beats New Zealand in their opener, which is entirely within their capability, they enter the second match day with momentum, with confidence, and with the kind of psychological energy that transforms a squad. A point against Belgium or Egypt in the second game would almost certainly be enough to reach the knockout stage. For the first time in 6 World Cup appearances, Iran has the squad, the structure, and the competitive experience to go beyond the group stage. There is one more thing that the tournament organizers, the broadcasters, and the political analysts are all privately thinking about and publicly refusing to discuss directly. The round of 16 draw. If the United States finishes second in their group, and if Iran finishes second in Group G, the bracket places them against each other on July 3rd in Arlington, Texas. Let us be completely clear about what that match would represent. It would not just be a football game. It would be a geopolitical event broadcast to an estimated 500 million people. It would be the first direct competitive encounter between the two nations since the 1998 World Cup in France, a match that is still discussed in both countries in terms that go far beyond sport. It would take place in a stadium that holds 100,000 people, in a city in Texas, in a country where the sitting president has publicly stated his ambivalence about Iranian participation. The Iranian players would walk out of that tunnel knowing that every camera in the world is pointed at them. Every political figure on the planet has an opinion about what they represent. Every gesture, every goal, every celebration will be interpreted through a lens that has nothing to do with football. And they have been preparing for exactly that kind of pressure for the past 12 months. In Tijuana, in facilities borrowed from a Mexican club, in a city that sits on the fault line between two worlds, which is exactly where Iran has always found itself. This is not a team that is here to make up the numbers. This is not a political symbol without football substance. This is a squad of players who qualified with authority, who have been forged by circumstances that would have broken lesser groups, who carry the weight of 90 million people and the gaze of the entire world, and who, if the bracket falls the right way, will walk onto a pitch in Texas against the United States of America in the middle of summer. Donald Trump said they should not be here. FIFA said they would be. Iran said nothing. They just kept training. The World Cup starts now. And the most interesting story at the entire tournament is not the one being written in the press conferences of France or Brazil or England. It is being written every morning, just south of the border, in Tijuana. Drop a comment below. Do you think Iran can get out of their group? And if the US versus Iran match happens, who are you backing? Let me know exactly where you stand.
La selección iraní va a jugar en Estados Unidos. Creo que tiene 3 partidos, ¿no? Son 3, ¿no? En la primera eliminatoria. Entonces, los 3 partidos de la selección iraní son en Estados Unidos. Estados Unidos no quiere que la selección iraní se quede a pernoctar en Estados Unidos. Nos preguntaron, pero sí van a jugar los 3 partidos allá. Entonces nos preguntaron, ¿pueden pernoctar en México? Y dijimos, sí, sin problema, no tenemos ningún problema. Entonces, están buscando que la sede sea en Tijuana para que ellos puedan pernoctar y viajar a los partidos que van a desarrollar en Estados Unidos. Entonces, nosotros no tenemos por qué negar la posibilidad de que se queden en México.
Saying it would not be appropriate for Iran's squad to be at this summer's World Cup. He says for their own life and safety. Just yesterday, FIFA President Gianni Infantino released a statement saying he'd met with Trump on Tuesday. Infantino said that Trump said that Iran were welcome at the tournament. Now, President Trump met Gianni Infantino last night and told him Iran are still welcome at the World Cup. After that, though, Iran's sports minister said there was no way they could participate. And then a short time ago, Trump has posted this on social media saying the Iran national soccer team is welcome to the World Cup, but I really don't believe it is appropriate that they be there for their own life and safety. Now, FIFA is yet to respond to requests for comment regarding Iran's participation in the finals in light of Donya Mali's comments on Wednesday or Trump's remarks today. Now, Iran are due to kick off their campaign against New Zealand in Los Angeles.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. Ole, 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 ole. Mexico, Mexico. Ole, 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 ole. Mexico, Mexico. Ole, 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 ole. Ole, 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 ole. Mexico, Mexico.
Para nosotros como mexicanos viviendo en Los Ángeles, el fútbol es parte de nuestra cultura, de nuestra raíz, lo traemos desde la cuna y ahora que nos tocó este mundial vivirlo aquí en Los Ángeles es la locura. Ahí nos tocó ir a apoyar al estadio de Irán. Vamos a ver qué nos encontramos.
Un partido muy peleado, 2-2. Irán abajo siempre peleó por empatar el partido y lo empató. Y terminó así un excelente partido. Para todos los aficionados salimos ganando. Dependiendo de qué nacionalidad seamos, mexicanos o de cualquier nacionalidad, todos salimos ganando porque fue un excelente partido.
من دو تا مسئله رو بگم راه میرسیم به داخل ببین تک تکتون موقعی که 14-15 سالتون بود، موقعی که تو پایه‌ها شروع کردید، تمام این جمع هیچ کی نمیتونه بگه من از خانواده پولدار میام یا هر چیزی. همه ما داریم از روستا میایم، از شهرستان میایم، با آرزو میایم. اینو برگردید به تایمی که آرزو داشتید که تیم ملی باشید. تو هر شغلی، هر تک تکتون، بازیکن، کادر فنی، تدارکات، ماساژ، پزشکی، همه بزرگترین هر کی میگه هر جا بازی کرده بزرگتر از اینجایی که هستیم نیست. اینجا بزرگترین جاییه که میتونید بازی کنید. الان اینجایی به جای کی؟ به جای هزاران هزار جوونی که میتونه جای تک تک ما باشه، از جای کادر فنی باشه، ازش استفاده کنید، ازش لذت ببرید با قلبتون. نماینده کل جوونی هستی که آرزو داره کل زندگیشو بده که اینجا باشه. براش بجنگید با قلبتون، با روحتون. آروم باشید، به همدیگه اطمینان کنید مثل یه تیم. مسئله دوم، 10 دقیقه رو به اول، بچه‌ای که جام جهانی بازی کردن میدونن 10 دقیقه رو به اول شرایط میتونه سخت باشه. جو استادیوم، شرایط بازی، آروم آروم، ریسک نکنید، کار احمقانه نکنید. مسائل فنی رو گفتن. باز میگم قلبتون اینجا مهمه. برای همدیگه بازی کنید، نه برای خودتون. اینجا یه تیمیم، تک تکتون زحمت کشیدید، 1 ماه 4 روز 2 ماه از خانواده، از دوستاتون، فشار، درد، حرف، حدیث، همه رو گذروندید. اول برای خودتون، برای این جمع که مثل یه خانواده ای. دوم برای خانواده خودتون، پدر و مادرتون. هیچ از پدر و مادر بزرگتر نیست. و از همه مهمتر برای ایران، به عشق ایران. چون یه 90 خورده میلیون الان بیرون میبینید. همه اینا دوستتون دارن، با هر نگاهی، با هر ظرفیتی، با هر اعتقادی. برای مردم ایران بازی کنید، به عشق مردم ایران. یا علی یا زهرا ایران. 1 2 3
یا علی یا زهرا ایران.
Tell me that we are gonna be like leave them over there.